sessions every Saturday from 5 p.m. local time. Though we started 4 minutes late, it was due to the setup. So I will be. Please let me know the phone. This particular one. I'll be having live session 5 p.m. Nigerian time, so you can be rest assured that um, we'll be giving you all the necessary information. So on today's live session, I'm going to be talking about understanding, simple red flag, investment red flag that you must not, ignore. So I'll be talking to you how to, identify simple red flag as far as investing in Lagos is concerned. I've seen a lot of real estate investors who have come online to explain some fundamental questions. So if you're joining this live, let me know. If you're joining this live, let me know. You can drop your comments, and then you can also, ensure you share this live session with some people. Please do well to share. Come online and then let us explain some certain things that I believe you should know. So today we're going to be talking about investment red flag, and today I'm going to be doing it basically on some of the experiences I've heard, and then some of the recent dealings I've had with some real estate investors. And the reason why I'm actually doing this is due to the fact that we have had a whole lot of experiences. So we'll be talking more, and then basically what I'll be doing is to ensure that every real estate transaction that you are taking is being guided. Now, what are the basic red flags you need to look out for? Um, Basic red flag that you should not ignore if you are investing in Lagos. Number one is improper documentation is a red flag as a real estate investor that you must not um, ignore. You must not, because if you do, it will be costly. So, how do you identify this red flag? And basically, what are those important questions that you should ask basically if you are investing? Now, the first thing you should do as a property investor is that I've said it before in some of my subsequent video that it is very, very wrong for you to buy properties in Lagos, and you are not, doing all the needed due diligence. And when it comes to documents verification, or how you can identify a wrong title document, it is very important that the service of a lawyer is very important, is needed. The I'll be making a little bit of an explanation. I will distinguish, the role of a lawyer and then the role of a surveyor, because sometimes I've realized that a whole lot of people are misrepresenting or misunderstanding, the job or the responsibility of both. So improper documentation is something that you should look out for. Now, how can you identify if a property is not properly documented? Number one, basically, is that for some of the land banking schemes that have been sold in Ekpe, and those properties, those land banking that was sold, recently, discovered that most of these properties don't have even a registered survey. Now, it is quite unfortunate that in this industry, a lot of people are taking advantage of the fact that many people are not skilled, or they are not experienced. And it is also quite unfortunate that some realtors also find it extremely difficult, okay, to identify a registered survey from a provisional survey. And what is this consequence of a provisional survey? Now, I'm going to quickly explain this and make some clarification, because I'm on live, I'm online, everybody's watching me, and one thing I've done basically is that I have not, given any misleading, information. Now, when a registered survey is issued, two things are involved. Number one is that um, processing a register survey on the type on the property is a clear indicator that such property is safe for investment, but this is dependent on the land use of that property. What do I mean? It is possible for you to process an agric register survey if the land is agric, but most of the important thing you should know basically is that when a register survey is given, register survey is like some levels of assurance, okay, that gives you this guarantee that the property you are bought is has some level of safety, and of course there won't be issues if it has been issued. And there are other scenarios or other circumstances that may, okay, um, force a real estate developer to do a provisional survey. Like for instance, okay, when a developer acquires a land with a C of O, and the developer just bought that land and is processing a register survey. Now, because of the fact that register survey takes some levels of time to be processed, the real estate developer may do a provisional survey just to have something like a reference. Like for instance, if the investor or the realtor, that's selling that property, okay, is wants to do a search. Now, for the fact that the register survey is being processed, in some cases, the developer may also do what we call a provisional survey so that they can search. Now, this is now to say that it is not all property that has a provisional survey that means that they are not safe, but there's also a clear indicator for you to understand that if it's a land banking and a provisional survey is being issued, it may be due to the fact that the developer just got that place newly and is processing the register survey. But if the land has stayed 2, 3, 4, 5 years and there is still no register survey on that property, this is where I believe that the real estate investors should start asking questions. So, improper documentation. Now, how do you identify if there is improper documentation, or how can you tell okay, if the documents that are on that property are maybe not valid or incomplete? So the first thing you need to do is that your lawyer will help you clarify the deed, while the surveyor will help you to ascertain the status of the property. So when we make this kind of clarification, it gives our real estate investor a clear overview of what it entails. So that is it. Now, the second red flag that you must not ignore as a real estate investor is when that property has been abandoned for a long time. Now, I've said it before, basically that now a whole lot of factor can lead to a situation whereby a property may be abandoned. I need to explain that. But from experience, I've gathered that in some cases where a property has been abandoned, it's mostly a case of um, maybe they are having issues with Omonile and the likes. Now, we cannot talk about real estate development in Lagos, Nigeria, and not examine, the impact and of course the contribution of the Omonile. And in some cases, when there is a long case of abandonment and nothing is happening in the site, don't just take the developer words for that. It is very imperative that you also try as much as you can to visit the site, and that's why sometimes I usually encourage that as a real estate investor, it is very important that you have someone that can regularly, okay, check the property on your behalf so that you can ascertain what is going on. So when a property has been, abandoned for a long period of time, sometimes it's a clear indicator that there are issues. Okay, I'm not saying all the time, but it's a clear indicator that there might be, some circumstances that are beyond control. And another thing, basically, that you should also look out for, where that shows, okay, that they might be red flag, is a situation whereby the real estate developer seems to be missing out of the action. Now, there was a scenario that happened recently about a developer on the highland, and there was an issue that happened. Uh, the person that bought the property said, okay, fine, I'm not interested in this property. I want my money to be refunded. And surprisingly, excuse me, surprisingly, the developer gave this assurance that, okay, fine, I'm going to make your refund available. And of course, the developer gave some level of assurance, high level of assurance, that we're going to do something about it, and then we'll ensure that your refund is being processed. Not knowing basically that the developer was already planning an escape route. And that's why sometimes it is very, I don't encourage a situation whereby I'm buying a property and I don't, take possession of it. And then one of the things that happened basically was that, despite all the assurance that was given by this developer, despite everything that happened, the developer was nowhere to be found. And these are some of the things and part of the problem. So the various instances whereby when situation is about to go out of hand, there are some, I've seen scenarios where real estate developer just suddenly disappear and they are way off the scene, and sometimes you're wondering what is going on. So you really want to pay attention to that. So tomorrow, by God's grace, on our live stream tomorrow, it's going to be by 5 o'clock, the same time, on our live stream, and I'm going to be talking about understanding some important clauses in property acquisition. Now, a lot of people have bought real estate, and they don't pay attention to some of the legal documentation, that has been given to them. I've read some contract of sale, and I've returned it to the developer saying, "Hello, Mr. Developer, I'm not, I'm comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with this. I want this one removed from the clauses. I don't want this clause." Now, the reason basically is that it is quite unfortunate that a lot of investors have signed some contract without thoroughly reading the clauses. So I'm talking about understanding real estate clauses and the legal implication of not properly, reading and understanding the clauses of some of the deed and contract that has been issued to you by the real estate developer. So these are some of those things. So I've seen instances whereby for some developers who might have perceived that there might be government, intervention or government involvement in some of the real estate activities in Lagos, Nigeria. So most of these guys are beginning to insert some clauses on their contract and on their deed, so that if worse comes to worse and we have to go to court, some of the clauses and some of the contracts that real estate investors have perhaps ignorantly signed will clearly, exonerate them, and there will be, no case to address. So I really need to insert that. Now, the question basically is that, now, what have we been doing as a brand? What have we been doing as a company to, to protect the interest of our investors? So I'm not just having this, like, I'm explaining the red flags, okay, when the developer does not have the right documentation, when the estate is abandoned, when you do not thoroughly, read some of these clauses, and these are, some of those things that can, implicate some of those things. So you really want to adequately pay attention to that, and then not make errors concerning that. So these are some of the clauses that you need to understand when you are, investing. So I said tomorrow I'm going to be talking about some legal clauses that you need to know, and how these things can affect your investments. So I'll be talking about that. So do well to stay and join me tomorrow by God's grace, 5 p.m. I'm going to be explaining some of these things so that you can, have, a thorough understanding about that, and you will be um, adequately, addressed. In one of my, in one of the episodes we are trying to do, we're going to be, I'm going to be talking extensively about, the importance of profiling, why you need to carefully um, profile the real estate developer, why you need to adequately pay attention to some of those things. And sorry, my daughter is here. She's here, so please just pardon the sound. It's just for today. It's just for today. I will, adequately address that. Children, and the mom is not around, so I have to do this live, and of course, address my real estate investors. So, in conclusion, basically, I'm going to be talking briefly on what we call profiling in real estate. And when we talk about profiling, we talk about important things we put into consideration before we make property recommendations. I have a video on that on my channel, so you can adequately look at those videos. You can check some of our playlists, and this will give you an important things about things we put into consideration when we make real estate recommendations to investors. But I'll be talking briefly in summary about profiling, and I'll be talking about some criteria that we have stated, and some of these criteria, if the developer wants us to work in partnership and of course make their property recommendations, there are some strict criteria we have stated, and I am unapologetically saying this, that there have been some known brands, big brands in the industry who has not fit into our profile, and it's not a case of disagreement and the likes. We just do everything we can and stick to our profile, so the conditions. So the reason why we profile real estate development company basically is due to the fact that we have an extensive knowledge of the industry. We've been in the market since 2018, so there are a lot of things we've gathered, some of the information we've gathered, there are a lot of experiences we've gathered. In fact, even with our interaction with some government officials, we have access to some important information. But I'll be talking extensively about how we profile real estate development company. I will also be talking extensively on some of the conditions we make, and we do that extensively just to ensure that your investment is safe. So these are some of the red flags. I have an extensive video on important red flags you should look out for. So at your leisure time, you can check it out. But tomorrow I'm going to be talking about real estate terms and conditions and important clauses that you must not ignore when you are investing in property in Lagos, Nigeria. These things are very, very crucial. So these things are very, very crucial when you are investing. So when you pay attention to all these things, you will realize that you'll be making an informed real estate investment decision. So that's one of the things that we're talking about. Now, if you are investing, basically right now, there are some important things I will be talking about. Some recent findings that we have, we have discovered, and what we are doing basically to ensure that your investment is safe. And I'll also be talking extensively on our recent findings. Now, when you're buying property in Lagos, Nigeria, you need to understand that the industry is saturated, and the industry is an attention-driven industry. And one of the things I have discovered in my little years of experience basically is that there's strict, competition among developers, among marketers, and among other important players of the industry. So these guys are always doing everything to get your attention and to make you invest with them. So you need to pay attention to that as well. Now, what must you do? Now, after you have identified your choice property, I have made, I've created different, scenarios where myself and my team we do the verification. A team of lawyers and surveyors search the property, we do our own due diligence, and then after doing that, we make a copy of our due diligence and our investigation about the property. We make it available to the client. They can also check it and understand if the property is available for the purpose of which it's been sold for. And then there are other important things we've done. Now, in our cost of due diligence, I can say that this year alone, we have successfully prevented more than 15 people. This year alone, we have successfully prevented 15 real estate investors in investing in a property that they will definitely regret if they have gone ahead. Now, it's not easy. When it comes to due diligence, I've said it before. Not everybody can afford it. It's cost effective. So these are why we'll pay attention to some certain things about investing in the Lagos State real estate market. So we've done that and we're still doing that. So I'll be talking about some of the important due diligence that we have been doing as a brand over in the next video tomorrow. So this is where I'm going to draw today's curtain. But before I round up this live session, I have said it several times and I'm going to say it again. If you have questions, you can drop your questions, your comments and contributions on the comment section. Myself and of course and my able team will be able to adequately respond to your inquiries, and they will be able to talk extensively on that. So these are the important red flag. Now, what should you do if you have invested wrongly with a developer that you should have avoided? The first thing you want to do basically is that you want to get your realtor involved. Now, I've seen instances whereby because of the fact that some real estate investors have created some level of bond and relationship with the real estate developer, which is 100% normal and there's nothing wrong with it. But a lot of things do happen in sometimes in several locations where the developer have been advised, okay, the investor not to carry the realtor along. In this our industry, whatever you are doing, okay, it is very important that you carry your realtor along. It is very, very important. Don't make the mistakes of trying to do things by yourself. Regardless of the level of bonding or the level of relationship you might have, okay, with the developer, it is also important because the realtor is more or less like a middleman, and it can represent you in different ways, more importantly if it is needed. So you want to pay attention to that. And another thing you want to do basically is that you also want to create a profile of what you need. Now, the market has gotten to a place whereby everybody is selling, and some of the mistake real estate investors are doing is that they are buying everything even when there is no need for them. So it is very important that you pay attention to that. You just don't buy because you're persuaded to. You just don't buy because it is cheap. You buy because it has gone through some level of verification and integrity diligence. That's my daughter. So these are some of those things that you want to pay attention to if you're investing in Lagos. So these are the red flags. So before I round up, I think I have just one more minute because I wanted this live session to just be 30 minutes so that when you're watching at your leisure time. So what are those important red flags? Improper documentation, abandonment, some clauses, that may exonerate the real estate development company. And finally, don't do anything without informing your realtor. So this is where I'm going to draw today's curtain of our live session on property matters. We still have exciting videos outlined for you, so do well to subscribe. If you like the video, share it with your friends, and I will see you in my next live section, which is coming up by tomorrow, 5 p.m. by God's grace. So in case you have missed this live session, of course, I'll be posting this on my channel. You can watch it. I believe some people can be at different shifts at their place of work. There's always nothing to worry about. You can watch it, and of course, do well to attend or to be part of tomorrow's live section, 5 p.m. Sunday. See you. Bye for now. God bless you.